Welcome to Secrets of Successful Startups, where we sit down with founders of startups and talk about how they do what they do so well. I'm Laurel Touby, I'm the host of the show, and I'm the founder of MediaBistro.com. I'm here today with Jennifer Hill, who's a legal expert specializing in startups. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thanks, Laurel. It's great to be here.
And our guest for the day is Seph Skerritt. That's Seph, S-E-P-H, okay? And he's the founder of ProperCloth. Welcome, Seph.
Hi, Laurel. Thanks for having me.
Speak up, Seph.
Okay, sorry.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about your company, but first we're going to show a video that kind of sums it all up for the audience. Hit it, video gal.
At ProperCloth.com, men can order custom-fit dress shirts without visiting a tailor. How to make sure you'll get a shirt that fits? The website shows you how to take your own measurements. If you don't trust yourself with a measuring tape, try the Smart Sizes survey. Answer questions about your t-shirt size and belly situation, and ProperCloth's uniquely designed algorithm will tell you which size to buy. Customers can choose from a wide range of fabrics. Then personalize details like cuffs, buttons, and contrasting fabrics. Shirts are guaranteed to arrive within 3 weeks, and your first order comes with complimentary alterations. You'll pay anywhere from $80 to $274 for your custom creation. ProperCloth sold its first shirt in 2008 and is looking to bring up almost $500,000 in sales this year. Run by a staff of 3, this small startup is hoping to make it big in 2012.
Well, Seph, I love what I'm hearing about the company so far. So we're going to talk about all the details of the business, but first, let's find out a little bit about how you started the company in the first place. What gave you the idea?
Sure, Laurel. So, personally, I've always been taller and thinner, and I've always had trouble finding shirts that fit. And then,
taller than, thinner than who?
well,
The average American man, I think, is what he's trying to say.
Yeah, so
You're definitely taller and thinner than I am, for sure. And you're male.
Yeah.
going to the mall was always frustrating, but then in summer of 2007, I got to go to Asia, and for the first time, I got custom shirts made for me. And the experience was just really, really fun and easy, and I thought, this is something that should be available to anyone via the internet.
But it kind of is. I mean, aren't there like, you know, HongKongJack.com and stuff like that?
Yeah, so when I was first starting, I looked around and there's a lot of really, I thought, hacked together websites, but none of them provided a level of experience that I thought would make it something that someone like me would have actually tried.
Right.
It's a very cool front end on the personalized tailoring experience. So what did you do? Did you start going to high-end stores and figuring out what kind of shirts you should make? Or did you visit customers? Did you spend hours in Banana Republic and Brooks Brothers? What was your process?
Yeah, so we did all those things and also worked. I was in business school at the time, so put a lot of work into just writing a business plan.
Well, we're going to talk about the business plan soon, but any other fun thoughts about why you called it ProperCloth, for example?
Oh, actually, ProperCloth.
Instead of improper cloth.
That might be another business. We might get to that later. And by the way, we are answering questions for the audience. So if you have a question for our lovely guests, then please tweet it in, and we will be sure to get it on the show.
How did we choose ProperCloth? We tried a couple different names actually in the beginning, and we found that we needed something that you could remember and you could type in as because we're a web business, it had to be easy to remember. That was actually the main thing that drove ProperCloth.
Okay, ProperCloth. What were the other names you thought of?
I can't even remember at this stage, but we
He's
had like
so entrenched
much
in the brand by
confusion
now.
that we were just like, all right, let's get something that's sort of sounds like a nice English shirting company and is easy to remember.
Okay, well, everyone says start a company that fixes a problem of your own, and obviously Seph has done that, being tall and thin, and starting a company to make custom shirts for himself. Next up, we're going to talk about how to go dive deeply into the research for your business plan. I was impressed by Seph Skerritt's approach to his business plan. Now, granted, he was in B school at the time, so he had a little bit more leeway to take the time and trouble to write a plan. But a lot of entrepreneurs just simply go through the web and skim numbers off websites and don't really dig as deeply as Seph did. So let's talk a little bit about how you approached your research for the business plan.
Yeah, so of course you do all the internet research you can, but then when you're targeting something like like custom dress shirts, for example, there's
Custom dress shirts.
custom dress shirts. There's not a lot of information out there. So you say, well, how big is the market? And you just get no answers on Google. So the way that I went about that was I just started calling up every single custom dress shirt company I could find and asking them how many shirts they sold that month, or how big their business was, to try and get a sense of how big the market is.
And would they really tell you? Did you say, hi, I'm Seph, I'm a student, at X business school. How many shirts do you do a year? How much revenue do you do a year?
Yeah,
Did they
just
actually answer those
curious.
questions?
Well, you say you're in school and people are interested to help, and in truth, any one person telling you they sell 1,000 shirts or 100 shirts that month, it wasn't really hurting their business, I don't think.
What person at the company did you get in to speak to?
It would vary, because sometimes it would be the owner, sometimes it would be a customer service person that would be really confused and say, hold on, and then you'd end
So
up
you
talking
cold
to a
called.
manager.
I mean, that takes guts. That's really great.
Yeah,
and did
it
you
does
have
take
like
guts.
a certain number of people you called? You said, I'm going to speak to 50 manufacturers all over the U.S. or all over the world even.
Yeah, I put together a list of everyone you could find online, everyone you could have heard about, and just said, oh, I'm going to try and figure out how big this market is.
And how long was the conversation? Did any of them say, hey, like, good luck in what you're doing, I'm happy to talk to you again? Did you actually go meet with any of these people in person?
I didn't meet with any of them in person. Well, actually, I take that back, because some of them ended up being suppliers, and they were interested in actually selling shirts to, or being our supplier if we started a business.
Okay.
So some of them actually ended up being good relationships, but a lot of them were very short conversations.
Excellent. Well, in the part of market research, I mean, it sounds like he was really doing his homework as to who he might want to work with, and in the process, having them tell you what that supplier relationship looks like.
Yeah, you were basically interviewing potential suppliers in advance.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really cool. What other types of people did you call? So you called suppliers, you called competitors.
Well, and then the other part is understanding your customers. So it was just talking to a lot of people and saying, hey, have you ever bought a custom shirt before? Well, why not? Or what happened when you bought it? What was your experience?
And what was your target demographic when you were thinking about who you were going to sell to?
Well, since I was solving a problem that was my own, it was like, well, who's like me? And so it was young professional men between the ages of 20 and 40 that were working in corporate jobs where they had to wear dress shirts every day. That was kind of how we thought about it in the beginning.
Did you stand on the street corner in Wall Street, or where did you go to talk to
He
these
bum rushed people at Banana Republic, I have no doubt. You were the guy that was kind of standing in the dressing rooms going, hey, why are you
Hey,
picking out this
baby.
shirt? Yeah.
Can I look at that shirt on you?
Then he got arrested.
No, that didn't happen. But yeah, being in business school, you were surrounded by young professionals, so that was a great start. And we actually did a lot of stuff where we'd actually go to banks and say, can we talk to people and just get real information.
So let's break it down for the audience. What are some of the data points you wanted to come away with from the business plan? What were the most important things that you wanted to know that this was a business?
So there was a couple areas, I guess. One was you wanted to make sure it wasn't a tiny market, that you were going after something that was a real opportunity and not just going to be a niche lifestyle sort of business for you. And so getting a feeling that this was a big opportunity was really important. And then beyond that, understanding, well, how does the market work? What are the economics around it? What is the cost more about the labor of making a shirt, or is it about the fabric that goes into the shirt? How long does it take to make a shirt? Where do you make them? What is shipping like? Just kind of understanding all these operational things were things you were trying to learn.
Wow.
Well, it sounds like the business plan process helped you think through the idea before you started building it more than anything. And, you read all the time about how many entrepreneurs and even investors are saying, forget the plan, it's just for you, just start building. But in this case, it sounds like it really gave you the guidance that you needed to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think it saved you in any way, cost or time or something?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, your business plan is like your first step towards starting the business, I thought. So all that information just directly rolled into, actually building something. And also, if it had been a small opportunity or something, it would have been terrible to have worked on it for 3 years to decide, like, oh, this is a terrible
not
idea.
really.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, the lesson here is to do a ton of research and find out what the real customer has to say about your product, your potential product. Also, talk to real suppliers, talk to real competitors if they'll let you speak to them. And Seph did a great job creating his business plan. Let's talk next about how to take that plan and make it a reality. We're here today with Seph Skerritt, and he's the founder of ProperCloth, which is a bespoke shirt company for men. So we would love it if you would ask questions of Seph. He's here to answer them. We're talking now about how to basically take a bricks and mortar business and approach it as if it were a web startup. You have a very tech-savvy approach to your bricks and mortar business, which I think a lot of other companies could learn from. So let's talk about some of the lessons from that. What's one of the things that you did well to leverage technology?
Yeah, so I came from an engineering background, so tech was always top of mind, and how can we do things faster, better, and cheaper by using technology, as well as how do we make a better customer experience with technology. So one of the first things we did was think about custom fit really deeply, and how can we use tech to make that work and make it both accurate and precise so that the shirt was always what the customer wanted, but also intuitive so that they could actually figure it out online.
Yeah, because guys, if I'm not mistaken, guys don't want to sit there and take a ruler and try to figure out how big their arm is. I mean,
Or have their buddy, you know, their roommate go, hey, dude, you want to measure me? I'm trying to get custom shirts done. I just can't think that's something that happens.
yes.
Yeah, well, actually, that does happen, and so
Really?
we have certain customers that do that, and we have videos that will explain that, and we'll send measuring tapes. But you're right, for a lot of guys, that's just too much for it to ask. So we developed what we call smart sizes, which is where you ask, the customer answers 10 questions about their body type.
What are the kinds of questions?
Well, it's anything from like what size T-shirt do you wear to how much do you weigh to how tall are you and things like that. Basically, the idea is that as opposed to doing a full custom fit or just telling me you're a size large, if you tell us you're a size large and then you give us all these other data points about you that anybody can answer, we can generate a custom size for you that's going to be way better than just getting off the rack,
That's
but
really
without
cool.
any of the pain of custom
And you did this
fit.
through some kind of algorithm?
Yeah, so there's a ton of tech behind that makes it all work, and it was a lot of actually research in the beginning to develop those algorithms and kind of develop our theories, and then continuing to optimize them as we get more feedback with
That's
the
great.
customers.
Well, the bespoke clothing process is so complicated. So did you take it that you created basically like a standard set of sizes that result from those 10 questions, and then there's tweaks from them? Or based on those questions, you really can program an exact fit for somebody?
Based on those questions, everybody's size is unique. It doesn't
Wow.
say, okay, you are a large. It
Right.
says, all right, we're going to generate a custom size for you that will have, 20 different variables to it,
And it really works?
and it works really well.
Wow.
Well, let's talk about how you approached the website, because many manufacturers have websites, but they're really awful. What was your thinking about your own website?
Yeah, so from the beginning, it was a theory that the website interface was going to be super important because, like I said, looking around in the beginning, all these websites existed, but it seemed like no one was using them. So we wanted
At
a website that was going to
ProperCloth.com,
feel luxury
men can order
and
custom-fit
also be
dress
intuitive.
shirts
'Cause
without
it's a
visiting a
complicated
tailor.
process. There's all these
How to
different
make sure you'll get a
options
shirt
and
that
variables
fits.
for someone to
The
figure out.
website shows you how to take
And
your own
being able
measurements.
to make those
If you don't trust yourself with a
options
measuring tape,
intuitive
try
and
the
easy to
Smart
understand,
Sizes
as well as,
survey.
like, doing it all with
Answer
a
questions
feeling
about your
of, oh, I'm
T-shirt
buying a
size
luxury
and
product
belly
was something we
situation.
were
And
focused on.
ProperCloth's
Especially at
uniquely
that price
designed
point, it's pretty
algorithm will
impressive.
tell you which size
Yeah.
to buy.
What about your suppliers? I mean, it
Customers
sounds
can
like that you
choose
do it
from
in
a
small
wide range of
batches.
fabrics.
And the fashion industry is notorious for suppliers and manufacturers not having very updated technology. So how did your company work with that?
Yeah, so one of the reasons I like the business opportunity of custom dress shirts is there is infrastructure in place with factories that make custom shirts already. So it was just a matter of finding those particular suppliers that do custom made-to-order shirts. And we started by finding one in North Carolina that got us started, and later we moved to a group in New Jersey, and then finally we moved to a group offshore that's super sophisticated, and we've been working with them for over a year now.
But I think you told me that you actually leverage technology in communicating with your suppliers. How do you do that?
Yeah, so
And that makes it easier for you to ship faster
yeah.
to your customers.
So every custom shirt we make has 40 or 50 variables to it, and you get any one wrong and the customer's unhappy and you're making it over again. And so over time we've learned that like any time where you use a person to do something, something will go wrong at some point. So we really worked
Eliminate
on
people.
Yes.
totally really integrating our technology with our suppliers so that from the time the customer places the order on the site to when something's being cut and sewn on the floor, there's no room for human error.
So there's no data entry. There's no person at your actual manufacturer that's actually entering that data. So you've got a system in place where all that data is being
It
sent
just
electronically
totally
to an
flows,
order.
which makes it less error, makes it faster, makes it more efficient, and everybody wins.
And your competitors basically are doing it how?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of folks in the industry are still faxing it, or handwriting forms after they meet with the customer, faxing them in. Someone's then copying those notes into something else, and it's more errors happen that way.
So the lesson here is, even if you're a bricks and mortar company, you've got to think of yourself as a web startup and basically have to leverage technology as much as possible. Basically, that's what Seph is talking about having done. He has made the website more intuitive, easier to use, more customer friendly. Basically, he's basically shortened the time it takes to manufacture by using XML files to communicate with his suppliers. And what was the third thing you did?
He's creating a whole new category and crushing the competition.
Oh, yeah.
This is a really well-made shirt for a very low price that you get very quickly, right?
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
and the sizing. He has a special customized algorithm for sizing. So this is a lesson that all of you retail stores have to really think about, is think of yourselves as a hybrid. You're not just a retail store. You are a website as well. You're a web startup. And your virtual twin online has to be just as good as your offline presence. Well, of course, it doesn't matter how quickly you get your product to your customer or how easy the design process is, if it's not very good. Let's talk next about how Seph is obsessed with quality. Many shirt manufacturers, we're here with Seph Skerritt, who is the founder of ProperCloth, which is a bespoke shirt company for men. And we're talking to him, and we would love your questions. We're talking to him about how he's expanded the company to about $500,000 in sales in just a very short time. And it's very exciting. Seph is obsessed with quality. Many manufacturers pretend that they are obsessed with quality. What they do is they get the cheapest price possible in wherever, usually Asia, and then they brand their shirts or what have you as high quality by making nice labels. But Seph really does pay attention to the details. So let's talk about what are the details that go into a high quality shirt.
Yeah, so first of all, early on we realized that this business really works only because there's a high repurchase rate and a high lifetime value per customer. And so having a product that's cheap and you can sell once just always fails flat, because you need the customer to love the product when he gets it and 6 months later, so that they keep buying. And then, so how do we make a quality product? There's three things we think about. One is the quality of the fabric that's used, and the second is the quality of the stitching and the details of the shirt, and the third is the actual precision of the fit. So we're maniacal about custom fit. So someone adjusts the size by a 1/4 inch one way, it needs to be a 1/4 inch smaller than the last time he got it. And if you have tolerance of plus or minus a 1/4 inch, then he's just going to be scratching his head continuously. So by focusing on all those things, I think we're making a really superior product.
Let's look, wait, here is the product, right? Let's just show it to the audience. Isn't it pretty?
They're beautiful fabrics. So how often do you visit with your manufacturers and test the fabrics and get a feel for it?
So we're constantly sourcing new fabrics, and we're getting them from all over, from Japan, from China, from Italy, and we're always having fabrics sent to us in New York so that we can feel them and decide which ones we like. Once we find a fabric we like, we put it through intense testing to make sure it doesn't shrink, make sure it's strong enough, make sure it doesn't bleach the color, all these different things. And then actually, as far as the manufacturing goes, we have our partnership. We don't need to go out there too often.
Excellent. So are they doing all the quality control for you? So are you seeing it again before it goes to the customer, or is it drop shipped?
No, part of the speed and the efficiency is that it goes directly from manufacturing to customer. So we're not inspecting anything, and we trust there.
I'm curious about what's gone wrong in the past that made you decide to switch suppliers. Tell me some of the things that can go wrong and that you've problem solved.
So there's a million, like I said, there's 40 some or 50 variables on any shirt. And so you get the wrong buttons on it, you get the wrong collar style on it, you make it an inch too long, or you make all these different little things you can just make a mistake on, and then you have actually quality QA issues where the buttons are falling off,
or
I
hate that.
Yeah.
the fabric shrinks too much and it's too small after they wash it one time. These are all problems that we've solved.
Well, we've got a question from one of our viewers. Dick Rathbone has a question about how important the return policy is. Has that been an important issue with your business, and how important do you think it is for online retailers generally?
Super important. So custom fit online is always going to be hard, and we've done everything we can to make it absolutely right the first time, but still, it's not going to always be right the first time. Customers will make mistakes, or people have really high standards. So what we do is complimentary alterations on your first shirt. So no matter what, when the customer gets the first shirt, if they're not entirely satisfied with how it fits, they just send it back and they say, hey, can you make it, you know, make the sleeves an inch longer and make the body an inch narrower and do whatever their changes are, and we send the shirt to them again.
And then you save those settings for that customer, right?
Right. Every customer has their sizes saved. It's totally accessible.
And does the system learn? Is it an expert system? I mean, the algorithm, does it learn from its mistakes, or do you have to keep making the same mistakes over and over again and fixing them?
So this is one of the things that I think gives us a continual edge, is that as we get more and more customer data, our algorithms get more and more fine-tuned.
That's so cool.
So,
Yeah.
I love how that works.
Yeah.
That's leveraging technology. Very good.
Exactly.
Well, there's a real, well, yeah. So
We've got a question here,
another
actually
question,
from
okay.
Jacked Up 721, who's a return viewer. Thank you very much for sending in a question.
Hi, Jack.
Yeah. So he's asked about overseas manufacturing, and one of the things that you've said is that you started locally and then you went offshore. And it sounds like, am I correct, all of your business is now done offshore?
all of our manufacturing is offshore.
So how has that been from a marketing standpoint? I mean, or a quality standpoint as well? Like, were there a big difference? Would you find that working in the USA would somehow be a benefit even from a marketing standpoint?
So there's marketing angle to making things in the U.S., but and we consider that heavily. But I think it was outweighed by the speed and the precision that we can get with our partner
Yeah,
offshore.
you were telling me that you actually get better quality offshore. I found that hard to believe.
I don't say
Yeah.
better quality, but definitely better precision as
Okay.
far as the fit goes.
size.
Which is so
Quality's about
important.
equal. I mean,
Well, that is
had,
part of the quality.
Yeah.
we had great stuff made in the U.S., don't get me wrong, but there's just less technology being used in the U.S. manufacturing. Offshore manufacturers are not all the same. You can find a offshore manufacturer and have terrible quality. You can find stuff made in the U.S. that's going to be terrible. We had to get to a point where we were at a volume and a level of sophistication that we could partner with one of the best partners in the world, which has happened to be offshore.
Okay, so is the partner the manufacturers or someone in the middle?
Oh, we work directly with our partner offshore.
Well, the lesson here is pay attention to quality, but that doesn't mean that you can sit back and just relax when you pick a supplier. You have to really dig around and test suppliers, and some suppliers may be really good at one thing but bad at another, and you have to weigh which thing is the most important to your customer. So Seph has done a lot right, and we've been really impressed by his progress, but Jennifer and I have been talking about this before the show, and we've been thinking a lot about ways we can suggest Seph can move forward. So next up, let's talk about how Seph can grow the company. We're here with Seph Skerritt, who's the founder of ProperCloth, and we welcome your questions. ProperCloth creates shirts like this, but they're custom shirts. They're made to order, and each one has its own particular design, and there are 50 factors that go into every shirt. And he's been doing a great job at growing the company to the point where it's now about $500,000 in sales. He's got 3 employees, and you're profitable, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's profitable. He's soundly profitable. He's not like internet profitable, but you know, he's still creating a thing, an object. So what should he do next, everybody? We'd love to know your suggestions, but Jennifer and I have our thoughts.
Yes. Well, the first one, and I think we're going to talk about them in sort of level of complication. The first one is market towards women. And the reason I say that is I'm married, I have a husband. He actually does get custom shirts every time he goes to Asia. I have a lot of girlfriends who have boyfriends or husbands who would do anything to get rid of their entire closet and put them all with nice shirts. I didn't actually know about your company until we started researching it in the last week, and I love it. And it's something that I would recommend to all my girlfriends, because if there's a way for women to know about it, get on your site, get their husband's measurements, and instantly replace their wardrobe, I think that's a really big market for you.
Yeah, that's great. And let's talk about how he can do that. One of the things that I noticed is there isn't a lot of recent press on your company. You got a little splash of press, which was great. You rode that for a while. And now I look on the website and I haven't seen enough recent stuff. So I would either get some money to, or designate some money to hire some PR people to help you. I would hire somebody in-house. I wouldn't go out and try to hire a firm. I would hire like a part-time PR person to come in 3 days a week and start making calls and slogging and helping you think through the process of doing some releases and contacting some people and come up with some stories to sell about the company.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, so I would do more marketing for sure.
I agree. I would love to see more profiles about who your customer is. You know, I'd imagine that there are a lot of guys that might not think they're the custom shirt type of person, and they may have some issue about how that makes them look, but your price points are completely reasonable. You have a wonderful selection, and the quality very clearly is good. But I think if more guys could see more people who maybe are like them, they'd be more inclined to do it.
Cool.
And I think another important thing to do, Seph, is to make a huge decision about yourself right now. Right now, you're doing what's called a lifestyle business. It's 3 people working out of your home, the dog's running around, whatever. You're doing good business. You're making money. But are you, you know, the next whatever, Gap or whatever
Brooks
it is.
Brothers, you
Brooks
know,
Brothers,
are you
whatever.
going to be the next big brand?
Yeah, are you the next big brand or not? And you have to just decide, because you're at a crux, you're at a decision point in the tree of decisions. And you have to decide, you know, do we want to stay this way and maybe somebody else can come in and do it better and then we're kind of a forgotten brand, or do we want to take advantage of our momentum and get bigger? And how do you do that?
Exactly. And I mean, now it's kind of time to go back, find some mentors, find some advisors, try to offload some of the things that you're probably doing every day to keep your business going that you could delegate to an employee, you know, or, you know, someone that you could do it even part-time, and say, okay, where do I want to go next? Do I want to have more different kinds of custom shirts for men? Do I want to do custom shirts for women? Do I want to expand geographically? Is there a way that I can just improve my offering so that I'm getting people to order more frequently? I mean, now it's kind of time to look at the data and see how often do people reorder and where does my market need to expand?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've done a great job at your level, just from your background and your experience, but now it might help, as Jennifer said, to get some more experienced people in there who've taken businesses to the next level. That costs money, right? You're going to have to pay that person a chunk of salary and some upside.
Yeah.
And so maybe you want to think about raising capital. We always talk about that, right?
Right.
But it
I
really
saw
would
his
help.
eyes roll. He's like, no!
Not raising capital,
Don't bring them
not
in.
that again.
But it is something to think about. As you, let's say you come up with a plan to expand your business. Can you fund it on organic growth? If you can, and you can keep the whole company for yourself, that's amazing. But there can be strategic reasons why actually bringing somebody in, you know, even at a small share to help you grow can really be, you know, very important to your business. And this is kind of the point where a lot of businesses stall because they don't necessarily want to bring in money and they don't necessarily want to spend the time to get it on their own. So you've got to choose. Either spend some time focusing on increasing sales to fund it organically, or consider going outside.
Yeah.
You can fight back. If you don't agree with any of this, tell us. Or if you have questions, ask us and we'll try to help.
No, so I think going after women is a super interesting idea.
No, I'm not talking about personally. Are you single?
No, now he's going to expect my order from my husband. So Colin, if you're watching, we're going to have a chat tonight.
And all your
Seph
friends.
is single, all you girls out there. Wake up.
As far as raising money or going after that sort of growth, I mean, first of all, I think we are growing pretty quickly. We've been going about 2 or 3x a year. We're going to do, by the way, we're going to do way over 500K this year.
Okay.
Excellent.
Awesome.
And I think like we're in a great position to fuel our own marketing spend next year, which is what we plan to do. And
How much do you plan to spend on marketing next year?
that's a good question, but I think we can easily spend 5 or 10 grand a month on just driving new customers to the
Don't waste
site.
it
That's
on
great.
a PR person.
Wasn't that what you told me to do?
No, I said I said hire somebody in-house to help you.
Okay, yeah.
Don't like go to a firm and give them $40,000 a month, because that'll be a waste.
I agree.
Well, no, so we've been extremely frugal for the last 3 years, so we're not exactly going to change that tomorrow, so that
Maybe
won't
we
happen.
should have him change that. Maybe that's what he needs.
I think we may have to have him back in 6 months and
Yeah.
see where all the
Yeah,
money's
yeah.
gone and what he's doing.
Okay, so you want to try that for 6 months. You try that for 6 months, and then come back to us and when you're ready to raise money. Because I think you're going to need to raise like a couple of $1 million maybe.
I see this glint in his eye. He may have a trick up his sleeve where there's a lot more cash coming in than he realizes. And if he has been that lean, if he can get the customer acquisition up and get people spending, he actually might be able to do it himself. So
Okay,
I'm excited
fine.
to see what the answer is. I'm not
Okay.
disagreeing.
I'm willing to be
maybe
wrong on this one.
We'll see, yeah.
All right, I think we have nothing else to say to Seph. Viewers, you're welcome to ask questions if you like.
And actually, a blog post will be up tomorrow, which will talk about all of this. So we'd actually love to get viewer comments. What do you think Seph should do with his business?
Yeah, we would love your comments on the blog post. That would be great. So thank you, Seph Skerritt, for coming on in with ProperCloth.
Thank you.
Bespoke clothing line. We're very excited to have you on the show. Actual product. This is great. I love that. Stay tuned. Happy holidays, everybody. And next week we're going to be dark, but the week after we will be airing live again on Wednesdays from now on at 1:30 Eastern Time. Here's to a happy, prosperous, and wonderful end of the year, holiday season.
Cheers.
I guess I could say New Year's next time we're in.
Yes.
All right. Happy holidays, everybody.
If you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits? Putting on the Ritz.